We're coming at you with information hot off the press. We have information regarding the unlock method for Magic Breaker and exactly what it is that this orange ISO is going to do. Let's get into the information and start breaking it down. Orange ISO and Magic Breaker. Greetings, Commander. Orange ISO 8. A blazing new level of power is coming to your roster, Orange ISO 8. The next stage of ISO 8 progression is ready to crank up the power of your top characters with new stat boosts and bonuses. And you'll want to start planning your upgrades right away because Orange ISO 8 will be your ticket into a future event regarding the new character Magic Breaker. Orange ISO 8 launches with levels 1 through 3 available for upgrade, and you'll enjoy a significant bump in stats with each level. So far, that is to be expected. Generally speaking, when a new ISO 8 comes to the game, 1 through 3 is the first steps, 4 and 5 are the later steps. So that'll probably be our chase for next year, 2027, about this time. Check out the bottom of this blog for a full breakdown of each Orange ISO 8 level. First off, where do we get it? Orange ISO 8 sources. Your first major supply of Orange ISO 8 is coming during the upcoming Player Appreciation Together We Fight celebration. Throughout that celebration, you will earn ISO 4, right? T4 ISO 8 credits to open Orange ISO 8 orbs containing 5 characters worth of Orange ISO 8 resources, including ions and crystals. I'm going to struggle with that. This orange and ISO, right? The mouth kind of wants to try to do the same thing, but we'll get it. It'll take a while to get the pronunciation. The green, blue, and purple ISO resources that are needed to help build those characters through the earlier ISO 8 tiers. Very interesting. So they're saying that they're going to give us 5 characters worth of ISO. And if we're going to choose newer characters, and perhaps, again, we might not have the stockpile of resources that some of us might have from playing the game for 8 years, they're going to give us what we need to take 5 characters up and not have to worry about getting stopped along the way with the previous levels of ISO 8. Altogether, these awards can help you upgrade up to 5 characters of Orange ISO 8, depending on the mix of resources you receive from your Orange ISO 8 orb and the current state of your roster. Okay, 5 characters, and it is a mix of resources, so we won't be able to control that. It's just going to be a random enough to build 5. That doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be the style of 5 that we want. It's a major opportunity to get a head start on Orange ISO 8 progression and begin preparing your roster for the challenge ahead. Read on and start planning which characters you'll upgrade first. Now, we're getting ready to get into this, but I just want to make sure we clarify a very important point. Actually, there's probably 2 points that we want to consider. They're tied together. So we have Blue Marvel here. He currently is the character that many of us are going after when it comes to purple ISO 8. You see, I do not have mine unlocked yet. If we look at our target Blue Marvel event, I am indeed making progress, and I know that there are other free-to-play players that have finished and do indeed have a Blue Marvel already. So again, this is something that the game is letting us do. This is progression. This is part of the progression system of the game. It is very, very important for us to remember that whenever a new progression system hits the game, it is almost exclusively sitting there in the ultra high whale spender Kraken category. Okay. And then slowly over time, it makes its way to us on the free to play side. So once again, about this time last year, Blue Marvel was released. I still do not have him. Right. So we had to build characters. We had to get enough stuff to put the 5 purple ISO on select characters. That takes time. I'm going to assume that that's the same thing that's going to happen when it comes to this new ISO orange. Be selective on who we use it on. It will probably be quite some time before we get it on a regular basis on the free-to-play side of things. So now let's consider the first breaker, Magik. Magik was the first to embrace the power of one of the Serpent's hammers, and your roster will need to embrace Orange ISO 8 to challenge her upcoming event. First Breaker Magik is a new permanent event where you power up your roster, unlock Magic Breaker at 7 yellow stars, and battle through missions to earn her red stars and diamonds. So I do have some questions. Is she a 7-star unlock, or is it just the potential that 7 stars are what you can get in that first part of the event. Unlock Magic Breaker at 7 yellow stars. Perhaps that is our answer. So your path to Magic Breaker begins before you even enter First Breaker Magic. As you prepare your roster for the event, you'll complete achievements by equipping characters with level 3 Orange ISO 8, and these achievements will reward a total of 750 Magic Breaker character shards. To complete them, you'll need to equip 15 characters with level 3 Orange ISO 8 across the First Breaker traits, progressing them in the same order that they appear in the event. The final 60 Magic Breaker character shards that you need for that 7 yellow star unlock are waiting inside the First Breaker Magic event itself. So it seems that, again, that character, it's all or nothing. It is a 7-star unlock. We would need to get all 15 of these characters scattered throughout the different traits that the game is calling for to qualify to get into the event. Then when we get into the event, those are the last 60 shards and the character will be unlocked, if I'm understanding that correctly. The first 3 missions won't have trait requirements, and they're designed to be more accessible than the battles that follow. Complete them to earn those final shards and bring Magic Breaker to 7 yellow stars. The third mission also rewards 7 red stars for Magic. So just by completing the first 3 missions, you're going to unlock Magic Breaker at 7 yellow stars. So I think that's the answer. We have to do that to unlock the character, period. If you make it through mission number 3, earn 7 red stars for Magic Breaker. Then it says the challenge heats up, but when you complete the final mission, you'll walk away with diamonds for Magic Breaker. 1 diamond during the first run, 3 diamonds on the timed run. So that is what kind of gave me the little bit of question, or the way we unlock the character. So again, it looks like you're going to get her at 7. There won't be any in between. The in between breaks will be for the difference between yellow stars and red stars. And because there's a gap there, it looks like it's possible we could pick some characters that might not work as good. So some people will get those red stars quicker than others. Same deal, big break in between the red stars and the diamonds. Again, some characters might not work as good as others. You're just kind of working on people cash money, the power of the wallet to get through early. The rest of us, it might take a little bit more time, a lot more time. These events, again, if they're similar to something like Brew Marvel, typically take a year for us as normal free-to-play players. We'll have to see how it actually works. First Breaker details. First Breaker Magic will call on 3 sections of your roster, and they're not listed in order. They're saying City, Global, Cosmic. City characters typically are weaker. Let's just be out, right? So City, Global, Cosmic level characters are typically stronger. So those City characters who we choose is going to really maybe be the most difficult piece. It's possible, again, as free-to-play players, those characters may not exist at this time. But traits alone won't be enough to conquer the forces waiting within. Every character deployed in First Breaker Magic must be equipped with level 3 Orange ISO. I'll start looking over your roster and identifying the characters worthy of their earliest investment. Which heroes and villains will help you break through the challenge? Orange ISO 8 requirements. Characters must be at a minimum of level 95 to equip the Orange ISO 8. You'll need Orange ISO 8 ions and Orange ISO 8 crystals to upgrade your characters through the new Orange ISO levels. Here's a high-level overview of the bonuses granted from levels 1 through 3. Now, we're going to go over this. This is actually really good information to know. This is interesting because this is stuff that we'll be able to use right now. Again, I'm a free-to-play player. This character is not something I'm going to get anytime soon. But understanding how the ISO works, who I could start applying it to now just to get benefits for playing the game, right? And since it's going to be a while before I get to the character, I might as well just understand what the ISO does. And in that way, I can just make my characters behave more effectively, make them be stronger. So, Striker, level 1. On primary hit, if the target has vulnerable, make an ISO bonus attack at 100% damage. This attack is based on the character's basic. If the target has 2 or more vulnerable, deal 20% of this character's max health to the primary target and then heal self for 50% of the damage dealt. You'll clear 1 vulnerable from the primary target. So this is something that's going to repeat through the different levels here. Very important, right? So we have extra damage, right? ISO bonus attack, 100% damage. So instead of maybe something small like 17% or something like that you normally would have with certain abilities, this is going to give you 100%. If they have 2 or more vulnerables, 20% of your character's max health will now also contribute to that damage, and you will heal your character. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. To assist with that, 100% extra damage, 65% max health, armor, focus, and resistance. So all the primary stats are going up, not just a few. This is good to know. On level 2, the attack works essentially the same. In addition, we have more bonus to damage, max health, which is good, right? Characters, they need that health. And if we're doing additional damage based on this character's max health, that's good. That's good. Boost up armor, focus, resistance. Level 3 looks to work similar. Now, just to let you know, that is not true of all the ISO classes. Some of these different levels have different things that happen. With regards to Striker, it looks like all 3 work pretty much the same. More damage, big, nice boost to max health. 20s on the focus, armor, resistance as all the way through. So for our Striker, it's pretty straightforward. More damage, more max health. And since we're doing additional damage based on our max health, that's good. And it's just going to help our character stay alive longer anyway. Fortifier, level 1. On spawn, bury yourself for 10% of this character's max health. On his turn, again, he will bury himself for 10% of his max health and gain minor defense up for 2 turns. So minor defense up blocks stops, I should say, 25% of incoming damage. So he'll have that for 2 turns. Plus he'll have a barrier for 10% of his max health. And while he has the barrier, he gains 55% drain. So now we're giving these individuals an opportunity to heal themselves if they attack. Usually this is going to be a tank that's going to do this in most cases. Usually tanks are slow, so they might not be attacking all that often. But again, this is interesting to know. It also gets 20% max barrier. Okay, so that's very important. Barrier typically caps out, or by rule, we shouldn't say typically, by rule, the game says barrier is 30% of your max health. Okay, so that's what barrier's cap is. So now we have something that's allowing you to go beyond that, an additional 20% max barrier. So potentially, roughly, we'll have to see what the actual numbers are, but roughly here, then we're saying 50% barrier for your max health. And again, tanks typically have large health pools. We saw during the earlier battle worlds, like with Null, that you can have a significant barrier that's difficult to chew through. And there are some present day characters that can put up a pretty significant amount of barrier that can be annoying. So this can definitely come in handy. You give them an additional 55% damage and an additional 100% max health. Barrier, again, based on max health, we're giving these characters drain, and they're getting an additional damage buff to take advantage of that. 20% stats for the rest of the armor, focus, and resistance. On level 2, for Fortifier, the verbiage is the same. More max barrier. So again, I'd like to see the numbers. Are we now talking about 70% barrier of your character? I'm sure it's going to be a little less. It's probably 20% of 20%, which isn't the same thing, but right for now, we'll just call it a base number. 70% barrier, 75% damage increase, another max health increase. Barrier, again, is built on your character's max health, armor, focus, and resistance. Level 3, we do see something a little bit different. One thing I did forget to mention, with the minor defense up, we clear 2 vulnerable. So that's 2 vulnerables, I believe, from us. So it makes our character less vulnerable. That was on all 3 levels. But notice this, when attacked, if we have taunt, right? So again, this usually goes on tanks. So if we have taunt, then we will clear a vulnerable from us and all allies, making our team less susceptible to vulnerable attacks. So that is something that only kicks in at that maximum level 3. Another 20% max barrier. So again, are we at 90% barrier, 75% damage, and 125% more max health? This could be substantial. It looks like they're trying to reward us because by the time we get into the orange, we've went through 3 other layers of ISO. You're definitely specializing at this point. So it looks like they're trying to reward us for doing that. One of the complaints about ISO 8 is it wasn't impactful. So it looks like they're trying to amend that somewhat, but not make the game broken. We also do get a good bump, 45% to resistance. That again, some of these tanks have high resistance as it is, and this could just stop people from doing things that they want to do early, like try to control that tank. Imagine you're trying to land a disrupted and you simply don't. Healer ISO. So on level 1, on that person's turn, you're going to apply regeneration to the most injured ally and heal that ally for 5% of this character's max health. So I think that we saw one of the Iron Avengers have that. I think it was Ulysses Claw, I think, who has that. Just putting regenerations out there is cool, but you need some active healing. And it says this is kind of going to help you to do that on that person's turn. That's important. So on primary hit, so the first time we hit somebody, we're a healer, but we hit somebody. If that target has vulnerable, we're going to put regen on our most injured ally and heal that person for 10% of this character's max health. Okay, so a little offensive bonus for the healer who's typically, we're not concerned about offense, but if we do some damage, something can happen and it will clear a bleed or minor bleed from your most injured ally. So it looks like it could do both, but it's going to prioritize that regular bleed. Interesting. When they use their ultimate, so this healer heals our team, they use their ultimate, whatever their big heal is, then they clear a vulnerable on themselves and all allies. Good. So that's something that's going to repeat. We're going to get 50% active healing. So the ability works 50% better, gain 40% damage, 100% max health. Again, the healing is many times, not always, based on this character's max health. So increasing that increases that healing. 30% armor to give them a little bit more survivability, 20% focus resistance. Level 2, the ability works the same. When it comes to the stats though, another 50% in active healing, more damage. That's a decent amount of damage, 60% for the healer. Another 100% max health, more armor, 20% again on focus and resistance. So we see they're trying to give us more, that survivability, make our abilities stronger. Level 3, it looks like there is an adjustment. On primary hit, if they're vulnerable, same stuff's going to happen. Regeneration to the most injured ally, heal them now for 10% instead of 5%. Now for 10% of this character's max health. Clear the bleed or the minor bleed. If the primary target has 2 or more vulnerables, flip one of those vulnerables to regeneration on me and all allies. Am I reading that correctly? I hit the person, they have 2 vulnerables. I'll take one of my vulnerables on myself and all allies. Wow. Okay, so flip one of all of our team's vulnerable to regen. Not bad, right? Gets rid of the vulnerable and gives us something we can use for it. Another 50% boost in active healing, more damage, 125% max health, again with the 30% armor, 20 on focus and resistance. Skirmisher. On level 1, the primary hit, if they're vulnerable, you're going to flip 2 positive effects to bleed. Get an extra 50% focus for this to happen. Apply 2 vulnerables to that target. And this can also happen on assist and counterattack. So we talk about that skirmisher striker combo. This is important. This is interesting. So we're going to hit them once again to clarify, flip 2 of those vulnerables into bleed. And we're still going to give them 2 more vulnerables back. So we're not taking anything. We're simply adding 2 more bleeds to that person. We have an additional focus check to do that. We also have more damage, 25% damage on those assists, 80% overall damage, which always helps, right? A little bit more max health, armor, big boost to focus, 120%. So they're making sure that this happens. You hit somebody, they want you to be able to flip those things. And that's, again, that striker skirmisher combo, you're calling in this person several times during the match. On level 2, it looks like the base information is the same. More damage for assists, though. More overall damage, more max health, 20% on the armor and resistance, and it's still another big chunk of focus. So just something else to think about. They're giving us another reason to maybe get away from Raider, who would give us a lot of focus. We can funnel it more into an individual that we want to do damage. On level 3, the verbiage is still the same. More damage on the assist, more overall damage, more max health, big boost in focus, armor resistance, 20% boost. So that brings us to Raider. On active ability crit, right? So this is for people that land critical hits. You're going to apply 1 vulnerable up to a maximum of 5. A lot of times these are area effect attacks, so we can spread up to 5 vulnerables out there. Typically the opposing enemy team is 5, but with minions and stuff like that, other game modes where you can have more than 5 characters on a screen. You get the point. So when we hit them on an active ability hit, there's a 50% chance to bonus attack the person that we were targeting. So this is an area effect attack, but we are pointing at one person, 50-50 shot to then attack that individual again for 90% piercing and give them another vulnerable. So this is decent, right? We're talking about the Raider. So like it says here, critical hit chance and critical hit damage are increased. So on that 50-50 against that other person, we could hit that one person for a significant amount of damage if we're going to be doing critical hits. An additional 60% overall damage for that person. So we see that's where they're putting the extra stats. Your crit chance, crit damage, and your standard damage. A little bit of boost to max health. Then we have the 20s on the armor, focus, and resistance. Level 2, more of the same, another boost for crit chance. We're just making sure that we're going to get that critical hit. And when we do, they want it to do more damage. Plus we have higher overall damage on the character. Nice little boost to max health. The 20s again for armor, focus, resistance. Level 3, similar wording on the ability, crit chance, damage, standard damage, more max health, the 20s, armor, focus, resistance. We'll have more details on First Breaker Magik, including its missions and rewards as we get closer to the event. Until then, power up your roster and get ready to go orange. And as always, when we talk about these blogs, the information is subject to change. So what are your thoughts on this? I think it's interesting. I think it's exciting to see the new progression systems. Again, these are things that happen every year. There was a progression system in ISO. There's a progression system in overall gear tier and in max level of your character. And these things happen, again, every year. So here it is at the end of the year. We're getting the ISO boost. It's always good to see what they actually do and what we can look forward to. Again, I'm a free-to-play player. I probably will not see this character in my roster for an extended period of time, but it's still good to know what the ISO actually does. We can tailor it when we do get it. The little bit that we do get, we can tailor it to be most effective on the characters of our choosing. And that's probably going to be some of those big time characters, your mythic characters, for example, Professor X, Odin, maybe some legendary characters or just some other really hardcore standout characters that you use all the time. Again, it's a rare resource. Keep your ear to the ground. Find out what the stronger players in the community are doing and why, and take advantage of that, as this will be a rare resource for us as free to play players.